All right, guys. So tonight I want to talk about morality again because earlier this week and last week I was having some interesting discussions with some people. And one of the discussions was this guy actually made an argument that objective morality could exist without God. And I'll be honest, I've never heard anybody that I've talked to so far, which have been quite a few people, no one's made that argument. Like it's either been, God exists and morality exists, or, there's no evidence for God, so therefore morality is subjective. But to make a case that objective morality could exist without God, to me that was just brand new. However, I don't agree. I think that it makes a lot more sense that if there is objective morality for God to be behind it. Because if objective morality exists independently of itself, but there's no one behind it, there's no transcendent being or anything like that, then why should we adhere to it? So that I can't really reconcile that. It would seem to me that if objective morality truly does exist, if there is a moral law, then there must be a moral law giver. Otherwise, why should we listen to it? So yeah, I definitely don't agree. I think it makes the most sense that if objective morality exists, then so does, then God must exist as well. There must be something more behind it as far as it, other than it just existing independently of itself. So I just want to get that out of the way first. Another conversation I was having with someone, that they were making the case that morality is subjective, always has been, always will be. And I guess the interesting thing to me is when it comes to that discussion, because at the end of the day, let's assume for a second, that morality is subjective. Let's go with that. Wouldn't it still be better, overall for people to believe that there's such things as objective moral values, that there's just certain things that are wrong and that's it? Because if we actually did convince everyone, if everybody was convinced that morality truly is subjective, I think it's safe to say the world could possibly be a very different place than what it is right now. If everybody in their mind just thought, it's all subjective, so maybe today I'll just go kill this guy that's been getting on my nerves, and then while I'm at it, maybe I'll just rob a couple stores, whatever. Because with the way people think, it definitely has a lot to do with it. And another something else I was listening to was a case that Jordan Peterson was making on one of his videos. Not that I'm trying to steal what he said, but it was a pretty good point. And I guess he feels that this is where atheists mess up. It's kind of like, they want to make this case that there's no God and that morality is subjective, but at the same time, self-preservation, and we're just going to look out for each other. But the claim he makes that the fact that people believe that there is a God, and the fact that they believe that there are certain objective moral values, is what sets the foundation for that. So if you take that away, it's not a given that people are just going to automatically still, treat each other with respect, and actually care about each other and being considerate. Like, that's just not a given. That has to do with there already being a foundation that people believe there is a God, and people believe that there are consequences when you do wrong. Because, at the end of the day, if there's no God, then everything is permissible. And why should I care? As long as I don't get caught by law enforcement or, whatever, or, if I'm cheating on my girlfriend, as long as she doesn't catch me, everything's open. Everything's permissible. So I always find it interesting, and I actually asked this question in the discussion. This was, messaging, though. It wasn't like in person. And all the people that were involved, nobody actually addressed it. But I always find it interesting when people do make the case for subjective morality. Why are they making that case? Because... Well, I think I know why. I think the real reason is because if objective moral values really do exist, then that's a pretty big indication that so does God. But I still ask it because I find it interesting, because at the end of the day, even if all morality is subjective, I think the world's a much better place that if, everyone or most people believe that there are certain moral values that just, like that's it. So I don't understand why people really want to try to convince people that morality is subjective. Because honestly, I think if everybody truly believed that, I don't think the world would be a better place for that. I think law enforcement might be a little bit different, and just the way that we treat each other overall. So, I don't know what to say about that. But again, when it comes to objective morality, I believe that it definitely makes a lot more sense for someone to be behind it. Because if it's just independent of itself, there's still not a reason to really adhere to it, there's nothing consequential about it. You're just saying, well, it just exists independently of itself, but that, so if I do something wrong, there's still no consequences of it, as long as nobody catches me. So I just think that makes a lot more sense for God to be behind it. And then as far as defending subjective morality, I still don't understand that, because at the end of the day, I think everybody could agree that the world's a much better place if we actually do believe that objective moral values do exist. But of course, the biggest reason I can see why people want to make that argument is because it's an argument against God's existence. Because, if everybody agrees that, there's objective moral values, then that's a pretty good indication that there is, someone that transcends us. So, thank you guys for your time, and please feel free to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.